Well, 10 weeks to go. Lisa, I mean, as you read the tea leaves here, does Kennedy endorsing Trump help Trump, especially in the battlegrounds?
Well, it does, because often these races are within the margins, and he helps Donald Trump increase those margins. But look, there's an easy way to tell who's in political office for the right reasons or not. Look at who's taking the hits and look at who's just trying to get rich and want power. The Democrat Party, they're only in public service for themselves, not for the public. I mean, you look at the Obamas, increased their net worth by tens of millions of dollars after leaving the office. Joe Biden and his family leveraging various offices to get rich. Donald Trump is a billionaire. He didn't need this in 2016. He ran because he's a patriot, because he cared about the forgotten men and women. And what does he face as a result? Assassination, potential jail, investigations. RFK Jr. is a Kennedy. He could just coast off his last name. He's rich. He didn't need to spend his life trying to look into vaccines and public health and bring it all to the forefront. Elon Musk, same story. He didn't need to buy X and to be a free speech advocate. He's faced investigations as a result. So look at who's taking the hits for the greater good, for the greater good of the country, and then look at who's just wants power and is trying to get rich. It's pretty obvious.
The Democrats' strategy is to take down Republicans, right, and to continue to smear MAGA, and we're seeing that from many in the media as well. Let's roll the soundbite that we have.
My predecessor and extreme MAGA friends are responsible for taking away other fundamental freedoms.
MAGA Republicans.
MAGA Republicans.
MAGA Republicans.
MAGA Republican agenda.
MAGA Republicans.
The extreme MAGA Republicans.
MAGA Republicans.
MAGA Republicans.
MAGA Republican agenda.
As if it's a bad thing, but this is what RFK Jr. says about MAGA. What MAGA really means, and I quote, "The phrase has troubled liberals who think it is a call for a return to an America before civil rights, gay rights, and women's rights. But I have a more generous interpretation, one that is truer to my experience of Donald Trump as he is today. Make America Great Again recalls a nation brimming with vitality, with a can-do spirit, with hope and a belief in itself. It was an America that was beginning to confront its darker shadows, could acknowledge the injustice in its past and present, yet at the same time could celebrate its successes. It was a nation of broad prosperity, the world's most vibrant middle class, and an idealistic belief, though not consistently applied, in freedom, justice, and democracy. It was a nation that led the world to innovation, productivity, and technology, and it was the healthiest country in the world. I have talked to many Trump supporters. I have talked with his inner circle. I have talked to the man himself. This is the America they want to restore." Tom, Jason, they tell me to go to Jason. Jason, can't we all unite around that message?
You would think. What the Democrats did is they shoved the Kennedy out the door. He wanted to have the debate. He wanted to be in the arena. He wanted to ask the tough questions. But guess what? When it was Biden and Harris, no debates. They forced him off the ballots. They are suing Kennedy every single which way they can to make sure he's off the ballot. And the Kennedys finally said, at least the one smart one, went off and said, you know what? No, I have a place here, and it's called the United States of America, where I get to exercise my free rights, my First Amendment rights. But the Kennedys there and the Democrats, they cannot stand that.
Yeah.
I love that Kennedy is embracing MAGA in that way. It was a little wordy for me and a little fuzzy. I would say, and Kennedy should come out in front and say this, the Republican Party is changed under MAGA. It is an anti-war party, it is an anti-globalist party, and it is an anti-authoritarian party. That is something that the Democrats used to be able to claim, and with some justification. They are no longer. They are pro-authoritarian, they are pro-war, and they are globalist. And, you know, Kennedy should say that. He should say, things have changed. Donald Trump isn't just MAGA. MAGA is a new party.
And I'd make the argument that Democrats have not changed. And that's why we saw all the old Democrats at the DMC. The party has not moved on. They're using the old power to stay in power.
Yeah.
So RFK Jr.'s sister, Carrie, is publicly shaming him for aligning with Trump. This was from earlier today. Watch here.
I'm outraged and disgusted by my brother's gaudy and obscene embrace of Donald Trump. And I completely disavow and separate and dissociate myself from Robert Kennedy Jr. in this flagrant and inexplicable effort to desecrate and trample and set fire to my father's memory.
Our own Tammy Bruce is going viral for her reaction to Carrie's dismay of her brother. Tammy is here to talk about her open letter to Kerry Kennedy. Tammy,
Everybody.
welcome.
There's like 5 now. Woo. Thanks for having me. I appreciate it. It was a wild evening, and everything. Every day seems to be a little crazy. But thanks for I was frankly shocked at how viral it went. And you can have posts on X or any social media that gets retweeted a lot or read a lot. The comments, 14,000 plus. That have just been positive. And what's interesting, I think what's important, because my reaction in seeing that, look, we know the Kennedys. I grew up with them. I remember the tears in the household when my mother had voted for him in California and he was murdered that night. My generation, we've bonded with the Kennedys. We know they're imperfect. We all are imperfect. And yet, at the end of her statement, they've been always very close to their family, say nothing publicly, despite the remarkable scandals. And yet, at the end of her statement, she said, this is about, he's destroyed or is against the values of my family and my father. And I thought, Kennedy values. As a woman, I just turned 62. We're a reflection of John Kennedy and Robert Kennedy and Martin Luther King Jr. and everything that came after. And we know when we think about values, and I thought to myself, I've never heard them throw someone under the bus. They've never thrown anyone to the wolves, but they do it to this guy despite the nature of, Chappaquiddick and Marilyn Monroe and the treatment of women in general, the divorces, of course, all the kinds of things. It's remarkable things, and yet this is what they're going to throw someone over for who acts on his conscience to make a difference for this country. I found it outrageous with what Americans are going through, and I think that's why the reaction was so strong.
Well, and his wife, Cheryl Hines, also, posted on X, and she said, I deeply respect the decision Bobby made to run on the principle of unity. Over the last year and a half, I've met some extraordinary people from all parties, Democrats, Republicans, and independents. It's been my experience that the vast majority of all parties are truly good people who want the best for our country and for each other. Tammy, so many families have been fractured as a result of politics in this modern political era. How much of that do you think is why this resonated with so many people?
I think that's in part of it, but we also have had this interesting bond with the Kennedy family. They're like our royal family.
Yeah.
And we've always rooted for them because we knew of the lost potential, and now we wanted new possibilities, and it just never happened. Maybe the closest was John Kennedy Jr., and then the horror of what happened to him and his wife and his sister-in-law. It's like Americans, we're going through it with them. But I think and her statement was perfect. Of course we will disagree. We used to be able to do that. Her sentiment was perfect. We know she doesn't necessarily like what he's done entirely, but they work it out. We know, this is what most of us also have gone through. His response to his family's really vile attack on him about betrayal and a sad story and all of that was also measured. It's a fascinating thing to watch. And yes, the reaction, a lot from women, is I think that we haven't really been blunt about, we know what we have put up with. We know that we have supported you despite what you've done. And this is what you do when all we want is a future that American families can trust and that they don't have to worry about if they have gas in the car to go to work, if they can afford eggs this week, if they can walk in their neighborhood, if they're going to be worried about their kid knowing how to read and write even when they're getting their diploma. The Kennedys do not know that life. We do. And after all this support, my goodness, stand with us for 1 minute. And many of his family, Robert Kennedy said, are standing with him. And I think that's an important reminder. It's a big family, and this is his siblings. And that's it.
Tammy Bruce, thank you very much.
Hey, Sean Hannity here. Hey, click here to subscribe to Fox News YouTube page and catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis. You will not get it anywhere else.